It's 6 o'clock. We will open our meeting up. And to begin with, I think we will do invocation. Mr. Willerson.
Father, again, this is a day that you have made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. It's been a beautiful day. We're starting to feel just a little bit of a fall tinge in the air. And Father, we are thankful for the fact that we still have this country. As we gather here tonight, a lot of different concerns and interests. But whatever they are, I pray that you'll give each of us wisdom and understanding to take care of the business of Walker County Schools in a manner that will bring honor and glory to you. And Father, we'll give you the praise for all you do, for it's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
And Mr. Richardson, will you pledge?
Absolutely. If you please stand. Pledge for the American flag. Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And pledge to the Georgia flag. Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the Georgia flag and to the principles for which it stands, wisdom, justice, moderation, and courage.
Thank you. And we do have some special recognitions tonight, Mr. Raines.
We do. So we have our principal from Ridgeland High School here and several of our students and their family members. So we're definitely appreciative of you guys coming. We love to recognize our students and for all of their accolades and accomplishments. And I know that Ms. Morrison is going to go through that and kind of give you an idea. And then once we finish, we just happen to have something else on the agenda that involves Ridgeland High School. So we'll talk a little bit about that when you're finished. Mr. Morrison, thank you for being here.
All right, thank you. So tonight we're going to be recognizing our AP scholars, and I'm going to give a little review for the board and for any members or guests in the crowd. So AP Advanced Placement Test, our students on our Honors Academy take these, and too many that I can't keep count. So to be an AP scholar, there's certain criteria that you have to meet. And this year, we had, to meet any type of AP scholar level, we had 91 students from the spring testing session, 91. You're free to go look at other schools in our region and realize that it doesn't even compare. Okay, so we're proud of those students and what that means for them at the collegiate level and the credits that they get as they go on. So out of the 91, we thought, well, we kind of need to narrow it down a little bit, see who we really need to recognize. So it's broken down into 3 levels. An AP scholar, they call it the basic level. It's not really that basic. But the basic level, you need to score 3 or higher on at least 3 AP exams. It's on a 5-point scale. Originally, we had 46 students who met that level. You had AP scholar with honors. So it's a step above. You've got to score at least an average of 3.25 on all of your AP exams and a 3 or higher on at least 4 exams. Okay? We had 11 students who met that. An AP scholar with distinction, that's the top tier, you need an average of at least 3.5 on all of your exams and a 3 or higher on at least 5 exams. That's the top level of distinction. And we had 34 students who met that. 34. So we had to narrow it down even more. So then you have what are called national recognition programs. This is in addition to your AP test. And it just and here are the categories. Rural and small town recognition. And these are essentially all of our students met that criterion. These are sophomores and juniors. And we had 40 who did that. First generation. And these are students whose parents didn't go to college, verified by whatever the students indicated. And it's about breaking down family barriers and preparing them for college. We had 20 in that category. And then finally, school recognition. That means they do well academically at Ridgeland. So when we looked at all of these levels of distinction and all of these national awards, we had 16 students who qualified for multiple awards. So the highest AP achievement and one of these national levels. And so it's those 16 students who we're going to be recognizing tonight. Add on to the fact that some of them are in band or they're at work and they have other things, and these kids just happen to be able to get here tonight based on their schedule. So I want to recognize all of them. Students, as I call your name, if you're here, come up. We have a certificate for you, and you're going to stand here in front of the board, be congratulated, okay? All right, so let's start with Emily Livers. All right. Jocelyn Putnam, sorry. All right, not here. All right, Mason Langston. Is Mason here? All right, Mason qualified as an AP Scholar of Distinction and a School Recognition Award. Well done. All right, take me. Stand up here. All right, Eli Earl. Again, with distinction and the School Recognition Award. And, should I go ahead and tell?
No, that's
Okay.
mine.
All right. So he's also going to be one of our junior board members.
Well, go ahead
this
and
evening.
share it if you want to.
Yeah, and we're going to detail what that means. Next we have Treasurer Russell. Is Treasurer here? No. Okay. Presley Lazaroff. Award in Small Town Recognition and School Recognition Award. And our other junior board member. Sorry to spoil that. Olivia Woodall. Olivia here. Okay. Megan Wells. Scholar with Distinction, role in Small Town Recognition, and the school as well. Congratulations. Okay. Marin Johns. Okay. Carson is not here. Hudson Adams. Scholar with Distinction, role in Small Town, and school recognition. David Stahlheber. Scholar with Distinction, role in Small Town Award, and the School Recognition Award. All right, Daniel Dukes, Weston Simmerly, Trip Yalden. Scholar with Distinction, role in Small Town, First Generation Award, and School Recognition. Well done. And Carla Gary Guzman. Well, I think it's an amazing feat that they did, and they can speak to it, but the AP courses are the most rigorous courses that you can take in school, let alone at Ridgeland High School. So well done. We're proud of all the accomplishments that you have. Let's give them a round of applause. All right, we'll have the board stand up, and then we'll get some photos.
Can we see the board?
Kind of look through the gaps.
No, here we go.
Did your wheel been for rail?
Let's see, yes, Karen, yeah, no, I think I see. Okay, right here on 3. 1, 2, 3, let's get one more. 1, 2, 3, stay where you're at, and parents, I'll get out of the way if you want to get in the middle and get a good picture. Okay. Real super star. Lots of pictures. Thank you, guys.
Okay, guys. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Let me shake some hands.
Yeah, okay. Congratulations.
Here we go.
Megan, smart as Wells. That's right. Smart as Wells. Congratulations. Congratulations.
So the announcement that I was going to make, obviously I did make that very clear to our principal. I was going to make that. However, that's okay. One of the things that the board and I have been talking about for a while, we've done this a couple of times, is they are very interested in hearing from our students. And so what we're going to do is we have designated some of our students from Ridgeland High School. They were at liberty to choose. I met with a group of leaders in our schools, and they came up with their own plan. And so the North End, Ridgeland, will meet at all the planning sessions, and they'll have designees here to sit as a junior board member. The South End will have Lafayette High School, and they have a board member that will be designated there as well. And their job is, the board on their agenda has a section called New Business. This will be for them to share things that they're having concerns with, and then we will go to our junior board members, and we want to know what they think and feel. So their job is to sit and listen to what we go through in planning, and then to say, I don't understand that. Well, how does that affect me as a child, as a student? And that's important to our board, because we want to make sure that every decision that we make we make a lot of financial decisions for our students. We also want to make sure that we're making good programmatic decisions, good decisions about how we're recognizing them, whatever that looks like. And this was just amazing to hear the number of students at Ridgeland High School who qualified for these awards. Just, I would not have been in that conversation when I was in high school with the AP honors and all that. So just very proud of them. So the junior board members will be a way for them to have a voice at the table for our with our board. And so we're very excited about having them. I was just reminiscing a little bit because these two that are sitting here tonight, and probably several others, but I remember when they started pre-K. That was my first class. And this is my full cycle of students that are coming through. And it's just amazing to watch them, how they've grown and matured. And when I met with them, I was like, all I could see were these littles walking in on that first day of school. I know your parents you're doing the same thing. So it's just exciting to know we're going to have kids sitting here talking to us and with us about the business of education and how it impacts them. And so we're very excited about their presence and what they're going to bring to the table. I know I'm putting immense pressure on you tonight, but it is what it is. It's like taking an AP test, right? So we're excited about that. So that's what the junior board members are going to do for the remainder of this school year, and it looks like it's going to be a practice that will continue well into the future. So we're really excited about that as well. Now, this is a moment where the recognitions will end and you have the privilege of leaving, unless you want to stay for the remainder of the meeting, which that's good too. But we always pause for just a second, just in case you want to exit. We are so thrilled that you came, and the thing I'll say most is that you trust us with your children, and our schools are really doing a good job, and they're the benefactor, and we appreciate that. So thank you for being here tonight.
Next on our agenda, we have the facilities update.
Well, planning has not went well for me. The first time I had planning, I fell out of a chair. You remember that? Second time, James runs me out to Ridgeland for things. So today, let's not have anything going on today. So Lafayette High School is in project complete. We're in the troubleshooting stages. So we are truly expecting actually a change order to receive back some money from that project, at least $30,000. Mr. Guthrie thinks that could be as much as $42,000, depending on how all the troubleshooting issues look like. So everything's going well there. Rock Spring is close to 95% in completion. Just waiting on a couple more units and gym lights that have come in, and they're hoping by the end of the month that's in the troubleshooting stages as well, and that project will be complete as well. Launch facility is still one undergoing with culinary arts. Mr. Wilson may key in on that here a little bit more about how that's going, but HVAC, looking at HVAC into that, and also the painting project is still something we're looking at, and the flooring for that culinary area that we're going to go into. Most exciting for me is Rossville Middle Combo Field. Actually, for once, is a week ahead of where it said it was. They actually started turfing yesterday, which was supposed to be next week. So I was hoping to get up there today to see, but I'm hoping they were probably about 30-40% done with that, maybe even halfway. And I'm hoping that gets a little closer than that November timeline they gave us. We talked about the last time. I'm a little more optimistic with that. Hopefully that'll get moved up some. So I know Mr. Milton went up there and looked the other day. He probably has a better idea how they're looking than I did. So that's the pictures from last week, and actually got some pictures yesterday of turfing that actually started going down yesterday. And I don't know if you got the updated ones. I just sent in that thing a few minutes ago. I don't know if they're down there.
Yeah, I don't think I've gotten that.
Unfortunately, I didn't get those in there for you guys, but that is looking a lot better, and that's going to be a nice facility once it gets completed up there. So, again, summary, overall projects are moving towards completion within the next week or two, and by the end of the month, those two major ones will be done, and then the combo field, hoping by the end of the month, we're looking a lot better, and hopefully within a month and a half, I'm hoping that it will be done if weather cooperates this time. So for once, we've had good weather, and they got a lot done, so. And that's it, unless you have any questions.
For the junior board members, the reason we're building a Rossville Middle combo field on your property, I say your property at the high school, one, because that field up there wasn't as utilized as much as it could have been, and we have no land at Rossville Middle, so we had to find a place that was fairly close. If you probably know, we played ball at the rec center fields for years. This will be our own home field, and so we're really excited about what that looks like. It will be fully turfed, which is unusual for a middle school field. It'll also give an option for the high school to have some tournaments there and things for baseball, softball, and it can be a fundraiser for them as well. So that's kind of where we came up with that idea.
Okay, any more questions? All right, financial review, Ms. Rachel.
The draft preliminary financial report for June 30th, 2025 is incomplete. We will be finishing the year-end closing process by next week's deadline. And we will provide a final financial report at the October planning session. And we will also provide the July and August financial report at the October meeting. The review of the general fund financial report through June 30th, and all of these figures are as of September 3rd. The total revenue received was $125.2 billion. Actual expenditures was $117.982 million. The unassigned fund balance is $41 million, and we did close all of the open purchase orders at that point. The unassigned fund balance could change a little as we're finishing the closeout process. As a matter of fact, today I was looking at it and it was closer to about $42 million. But we still have a few entries to make to complete the process. And the tax assessor provided the final tax digest information on August the 19th, and the 5-year history and current tax digest were published in the Wofford County Messenger on September 3rd as required, and all of that is available on our website. And as you are aware, we will have our tax levy meeting next week on September 15th at 6 o'clock. And then we'll have a regular session and the vote on the tax levy at 6:30 on September 15th. Does anybody have any questions on any of that?
We provided you a copy of the presentation that we'll do at 6 o'clock. Very similar to the budget presentation, has the considerations for the decision to consider taking the full rollback this year, and hopefully we'll be able to give a detailed explanation to the folks that attend of the considerations and what that looked like as we entered the budget building process and the funding we were losing from QBE, a variety of things, but hopefully we'll answer any questions. And so I want to make sure you guys had time to review that before the 6 o'clock meeting next week.
Any questions? Curriculum update, Robin.
Okay, you have a large packet that I handed out, and it looks like a lot, but it is the year-long plan for the entire year for August through May. But we are wrapping up testing right now. We have 5 days left in our window for AMIRA testing, and that is the required K-3 assessment for every student that we are screening currently for dyslexia. So the reports, fantastic feedback from each of our schools on the data that those reports are giving compared to math fluency last year. It's taken approximately 10 to 15 minutes per child to assess, but it's an individual assessment where they wear a set of headphones and they speak into those headphones, so it's not a teacher giving that assessment one-on-one. So within 20, 25 minutes, you can assess an entire class, and the reports are available where with math, we had to wait 24 to 48 hours. These reports are available once they finish the assessment. So lots of positive feedback on that. I will share with you next month. We are also wrapping up our math assessment right now for 1st through 8th grade. With our switch with Infinite Campus, we did have some rostering issues that we had to work training, and we'll have those results to share next month. Just an item of information is, you know that Rossville Elementary is currently on our TSI intervention list, and we are contracting with Terry Haney, who was previously with RESA. He's our math expert, and that was one of their areas, you know, looking at the data that we needed assistance with. And so Terry will be on site 12 days at Rossville Elementary, and that's utilizing the TSI funds for that. You will have a link to all the year's focus walks. Mr. Middleton had asked about those focus walks. So I shared with you the year-long calendar. It will have the link to that. Also, I shared with you this afternoon each school's school improvement plan and the district improvement plan in a folder. Those are about 75 pages per school, so I did not copy those, but you have access in the folder. But attached is the year-long professional development plan. You can see what we will be focusing on September through May. Also, Phyllis had asked and I know it's small print, but you have access. I think Stacy has placed that in your Google Drive folder. But this is by grade level assessments and those that are required, that are state mandated, and then the one map that we do a local assessment due to Cognia. But this is feedback from teachers K through 8th grade of the amount of time that the assessments take and if it's state mandated. I also attached for you the year-long assessment calendar for the district that tells, it has, in addition to EOGs, it also has listed AP exams, access, and GAA in addition, since that's not something that all students would take. So if you have questions, I will be there next week, because I know that's a lot of information in your curriculum updates.
Any questions? Okay. Launch update, Mr. Wilson.
Yes, ma'am. Just echo or add to what Mr. Deputy was saying earlier. There's a couple things from the GNTC side. They're currently doing a big elevator modernization. I had to ask them what the word was to describe it, because it was more than an update, and they were playing around in there. And I thought they were just pulling the whole thing out, and I think they were doing the equivalent. But that, in addition to the signage meeting we have coming up with them to add our Walker Launch signage all across the campus, also out on Highway 27. I think that just shows the relationship where they're all in on helping us get our Oscar Career Academy up and stuff, and just being kind of a gem to showcase here in our region. A couple quick pathway highlights. Our EMT program passed their site inspection this past week, and that was a big lift for our brand new teacher, our EMT instructor, Mr. Turnmeyer. He's been doing a great job. He's a Walker County guy, connected in the area, so he was able to bring some things together that, honestly, if I had to do it, it wouldn't have gotten done. He was able to call in favors and know exactly what to do, so just really proud of him. He's been a great hire as far as the teaching to teach. He's a shining example of that. And then we had a fun thing. One of our OTs reached out. We have a wheelchair-bound student at North Lafayette who was having an issue with their feeding tray wasn't connecting to the wheelchair and just needed something specialized made. And she reached out and asked if that was something we could help with. And another new hire, Mr. Aviles, made it a competition in his class. So the kids competed to figure out, he had them research what kind of materials they needed from the hardware store, got them all purchased, had a competition to figure out which one. I think they ended up with a couple of very good ones. He motivated them with me buying them Chick-fil-A, so it sounds like I'm going to Chick-fil-A tomorrow. So happy to do that, because we helped a student, who was in need, and we gave our kids a real world situation, a real problem solving situation, and they got to help someone else there. And the last thing I'll just end on, we've got a couple of things coming up, like long term. And last year we did our Friday Business Speaker Series. So we had people from industry come in and speak. We're switching that up to Workforce Wednesdays, I guess is what we're calling it. We've got more student input this time is what we're changing up about. We're still using our Georgia's Best curriculum, but we surveyed the students and said, we need to learn these soft skills, but what industries do you want to hear from? So now they have choice to hopefully increase some ownership of learning as they're doing things. So if if I'm interested in cosmetology, if we can get someone that owns a salon, that's one of the ones I'm going to pick. So I'm going to pick 3 or 4 out of the choices that are happening all year, turn my grade and workforce development. So if you know anyone who would be interested in that, please send me an email. I'd be happy to send them a link so they can sign up. We're very flexible about dates and opportunities and topics because we want them there. We want you there however we can get you. And we are doing something new. We're having a big mock interview session on October 3rd. Where we are planning on interviewing every student we have. So we need a lot of interviewers to come in, and the more interviewers we get, the less interviews each individual has to do, right? So if we can get a lot of interviewers to come in, they can interview 2 or 3 students and give them that real world experience, that feedback. Talking to someone like yourself who's a professional is different than going to get an interview at McDonald's, right? It's just a little bit like, they're not this on McDonald's, I've worked fast food and everything like that, but they're really just like, all right, when can you start as much as anything else? We're wanting to give them that experience where they're having to explain themselves, explain what their skills are, and excuse me, put in a real world context. So if you'd be interested in that, please let me know as well. And that's all I've got. Just let me know if you have any questions.
Any questions? Okay, Mr. Raines, the superintendent's report, please.
So, a couple of things. We talked about the millage hearing Monday night at 6. Giving you guys a copy of the press release. It's all of that's posted on our website based on statute. So, wanted to make sure you knew that was there. Wanted to start off a little bit. If you remember, we presented you guys with a copy of a document several months ago that looked like this. Got it up on the screen. It was just going through all the considerations for changes in policy that had been facilitated by some changes in legislation. And so we've been discussing this with our attorneys and with our folks on the team to kind of figure out exactly what next steps were for us. And so what I asked tonight was Mr. Brown's going to help walk us through. There are certain things that are going to need action from you guys, and I'm going to talk to you guys a lot tonight, so I hope you don't mind. So when the board creates a policy, it has to sit for 30 days for public review before they can vote on it. And if there's any public comment, then we take that into consideration. If it's an existing policy that has to be edited or changed a little bit, if it's a minor edit, then they still vote on it, but it doesn't have to sit for 30 days. So we've got a variety of those right now. We've got some that are going to have to sit for 30 days. We have some that you can approve at Monday night's meeting, and we're going to talk through those with you. There's a lot of the other ones that there's really no action for you currently because there's not a significant timeline with it, but there's probably going to be some additional approvals for you in the near future. So I'll ask Mr. Brown if he doesn't mind joining us up here, and we're just going to walk through this particular document right here so you'll know what you're going to see on Monday night's agenda, also what's going to be a 30-day sit, and you'll see it at the planning session in October. So just I felt like it would be better for us to walk through it. It's not a long, we did this with leadership. It took us about 10 minutes, so it's not going to be a long process, but I'll let Mr. Brown kind of walk us through.
Thank you, Mr. Raines. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board, to our junior board members. We've got some information to go over. Some of this is new, some of this is not new information, but we'll start off with House Bill 318. That is the charter schools policy, IBB. The big change on that is kind of the change of the timeline, and that change of the timeline does bring about another exhibit that will also accompany this timeline, where the board will receive information from charters or interested parties to creating a charter, and the board has a timeline of a few months to review that, give them feedback on it, either approve that or deny that, and they can reapply. The state does have the opportunity to field an appeal at the discretion of the local board to deny a charter. This is something that would require a board vote, an editorial change, because of the timeline that would exist in it.
And we had this policy in place. We were adjusting the timeline. And just for Dr. Willerson, for Mr. Middleton, and Kevin, I think you were here when we had the original charter proposed. It was the Lula Lake Charter. They proposed that twice. The first time it was with a closed attendance zone, meaning that it would just track students from Walker County. Then it came back a second time. It was an open attendance zone, and it was for anybody in the state of Georgia. And again, I'll do a little soapboxing here. This is another way to allow students who have access to a voucher of $6,500 to take that money where a for-profit company is pushing a lot of money into that school or that charter to potentially attract students. So we didn't have any approved pre-COVID, through COVID, and now they're starting to approve those again. So this is something that we have to have in place. The board would get the charter reviewed. It has to be to you. You have to have 6 months, and then you have to move on it in 90 days, and then that gives them a time period for an appeal to the state board. So it's a little more in detail than it was before, but this was just a change to a current policy. However, after talking to the attorneys, we felt like you needed to vote on that as well.
Moving to House Bill 268, we've talked about this a number of times. This is the Omnibus Safety Act that was passed in the wake of the Appalachia tragedy, Appalachia High School, Barrow County last year. We are on pace with the expectations there. Mr. Deputy is already working on our panic alert system with Centegix. We have already adopted a program that works with our 911 reporters. We are in communication about a CSEND program. CSEND meaning an anonymous reporting program. GEMA and the Georgia Department of Education recommend the Sandy Hook Promise. They are a free provider of this service. They are highly respected and touted for what they have done as an anonymous CSEND receiver. They also communicate directly with local law enforcement and first responders in crisis situations. So we are on pace with our House Bill 268 expectations. There's no action required at this time. House Bill 81 is a reciprocity act for school psychologists. It is an interstate compact. There's no board action required about that. That is something that will be handled through our personnel department. House Bill 105 is a state indemnification increase from $75,000 to $150,000. Again, no board policy required at this time. This is a personnel adjustment. House Bill 235 is paid leave for living organ donors, such as bone marrow transplants. There's no board action required with this at this time. This is a procedural adjustment of personnel. House Bill 307 is our early literacy and dyslexia. This is what you all have been a part of throughout the summer, funding the initiatives proposed by Mrs. Samples in the curriculum department. That has brought about tremendous resources and training for our teachers. You guys have already done a great job of supporting that effort. There's no action required, but that is just something to continue to put on your radar as good work that is already in progress thanks to the approval that you all have granted. Moving to House Bill 340, this is the Distraction-Free Education Act. This bans cell phones for students in grades K-8 starting next year. There's no state law banning high school cell phones, and that's not just cell phones. We say cell phones generically, but it's all electronic communication devices. All devices that send and or receive information. This would apply to watches, this would apply to pendants, this would apply to bracelets, rings, earbuds. All those devices fall under the purview of House Bill 340. We are already in compliance with this when it comes to our K-8 schools, so we're ahead of the game with our policy there. This was consideration for the board where it may apply to high schools in the future. That would be something that would adjust our current board policy on this. Another consideration that we need to address, and this is something we'll do over the next number of months, is that's looking at field trips and athletic events. So we have students who leave early because of athletics and field trips. Ag students, for example, go and do CDE competitions, and some of these competitions are very structured with time, but given the fact that they're organic competitions, those timetables can change. And a student who is showing goats and then showing chickens with a team and then doing lawnmower competitions, we see the possibility where that real-time communication through a personal electronic device may be necessary. So we're considering a proposal to you all for your consideration where teachers that are during the school day off campus at school-sponsored events such as field trips, competitions, athletics, can have a discretion with the board's blessing where those teachers can approve the use of devices for certain channels of communication that are essential to what they're doing off campus. This is something that we will review. We're expecting more guidance to come. Right now we have Floyd County and
Floyd County and Rome City have
Rome City.
adopted K-12, K-12, not pre-K, pre-K. I'm hoping pre-K is bringing the phone, but K-12 at this point. So we're talking a lot to them to get some of their input, things that they're seeing that they would have not done, or things that they should have done. And so it gives us two unique perspectives, a county and a city perspective to look at. I'd be interested to hear what you guys think. Of course, you're both graduating, so it's not a big deal to you as you go on to college. But we've really tightened up a little bit on cell phones over the last few years at the high school level even. Do you guys have any thoughts on distractions and things that come from cell phones and appropriate use, inappropriate use? I'm putting you on the spot. If you don't feel comfortable, don't feel that you have to. Just this is something that will affect a lot of students, below you as well.
I really have no issue with limiting cell phone use or really any communication device. If you need to get in touch with the parent, it's not that difficult to talk to a teacher.
Sure. Okay, good. Yeah. We're worried a little bit about personal communication devices because, if you look, we all have on a smart watch. Some of us wear Oura rings. There are even glasses that do that. I had no idea. I probably need a pair of those. So earbuds, ear pods, or whatever you call them. My daughter won't let me wear ones have a string on them anymore. I can't wear those. I don't know why. But so it really does have an impact on you guys. And so we're trying to do what's best for the school, for the student, but also instruction is what we're supposed to be doing. And so limiting that distraction. So good. Okay. All right. Sorry, Dan.
Yes, sir. Moving to any questions on the distraction for
What has Rome or the county school system said? Has it been positive? I guess there's some ebb and flow, obviously.
There is, yeah. It's so new right now that there's certain maybe brush fires that they're worried about. They've already both said there were things that they would probably do differently as they go forward next year. But I think they were doing something probably K-8 and decided just to go ahead and tear the Band-Aid off and move forward. And it became, a lot of school systems were trying the ban just to see how it would work. But when they included all electronic devices, then all of a sudden, even though it's in our policy currently, managing that became the bigger issue. How are you going to manage that? And so that's kind of what we're watching them to see. How are you managing it?
Research nationwide has shown students are happier without access to their cell phones during the day. Test scores, student attentiveness, classroom focus, distractions, everything is going the right direction when these cell phones are not the disruption at the end. So it's very good data to back this up.
We're thinking about keeping their cell phones at school so that they'll have to come back to school to get them, and that'll stop the chronic absenteeism too. So maybe, let's see what time we get.
House Bill 371 as a capital outlay authorization cap increase. There's no board action required, but it does increase that capitalization. State Bill 1 is the Riley Gaines Act. Now this one will require a 30-day sit. If you click on the IDFA update, you'll see quite a bit of highlighted yellow text there. This Riley Gaines Act, you'll see the yellow part. If it's not struck through, it's an additional part where we're pulling language straight out of the state law on that. But this does clarify that athletic competitions and restrooms will be for gender-specific restrooms and athletic competition as gender was assigned at birth, as documented medically. So this is not a huge adjustment to our procedures that we're already doing in Walker Schools, but it does require, in our board attorney's perspective, a substantial change from where we currently have policy. We will, of course, adjust procedural documents with field trips and athletic competitions accordingly, should the board approve this. This would require a 30-day sit due to the substantial changes to it, but this does clarify athletic restrooms, overnight trips, to be aligned by gender. Moving to State Bill 123, this is the chronic absenteeism. Our board policy on that is JBD, and it is extremely compliant with the expectations of this new law. The one addition that we need to write into this is that student attendance and school climate will be addressed in our school committees. So this is a very minor change. That is an editorial change by the board's perspective, by the board's attorney's perspective, and this could be done with an editorial revision. That verbiage that is in the policy there goes in right after the definitions. So we just include that verbiage with Student Attendance Protocol Committee as it's currently written to include student attendance and climate committees.
And we'll pair these with their existing school councils, and we will actually send them for their second meeting in the fall. We will send them a layout of what they need to talk about and address in this as they're going forward. It made the most sense. Those meetings are already scheduled. We might as well just fuse those together because that's a group of your parents, your business partners, your faith-based partners, your teachers, your administration. So it kind of made sense to, instead of creating a second committee or a different committee, trying to find folks that this fit perfectly with our school council.
And those climate committees are required to meet twice per year. State Bill 212 is directory information is now not included for political actors. So we have directory information that's available for our students. The state has passed a law that now under Georgia law, school districts may not disclose public student directory information to political candidates, political action committees, political organizations, or persons acting on behalf. So this does not require board action. What we have done is our open records request. That form has now been updated to include a question if someone is acting as a political candidate, political action committee, political organization, or person acting on their behalf. If you scroll down just a little bit there, Ms. Allen, that is that question. If the answer to that is no, and they're asking for student information, it's not a problem. If the answer is yes and they are asking for student information, that is now to be excluded per Georgia law. Again, no action is required by the board on that. The last one that we have for tonight is State Bill 351. This is our K-12 acceptable use policy and social media. Very minor change in this. Ms. Allen, if you'll click on that draft document. The only part that needed to be revised for us was in two regards. One, we did not explicitly state in our AUP that students who violate that may be subject to school discipline. Now that's already inherent in our Walker County Code of Conduct, our rules. It does specifically state 4 different rule violations when it comes to internet use. But we needed to write that into our AUP. We also needed to clarify, as we already have in the FYI, what school grounds exist during the school day, school-sponsored activities, school-sponsored field trips. So those parameters set the tone that violations of the AUP do apply to our school FYI, our Code of Conduct. The other addition to this is the creation of a complaint resolution process. We've done this with other things, such as the Divisive Concepts. We created a complaint resolution process there. This is created by a Google form where someone who has a concern about our AUP, perhaps a website that's been blocked, they can fill out that Google form, and there's a complaint resolution process where that goes to our technology specialists who will review the complaint and then take action within 10 days. So if there's information that you feel is blocked that should not be blocked, an example is they would click on that form, fill out that form, and then our technology department would give that a closer look. This could be done by students, it could be done by parents or guardians, or other community members, teachers. But those are the changes to this. It is the board attorney's perspective that with the clarification and the language involved with the discipline part, this does amount to a substantial change and would require 30 days.
Lots of information, so look over that. It's in your notebook. There's good one-pagers explaining some of that. If you have questions, let us know. The one that's probably pressing us the most is the AUP. It's supposed to be to the DOE by October the 1st and to the state board by October 15th. We meet in between, okay? So we're sending a draft of what you're looking at tonight of the AUP to the DOE so we have something on their desk by October 1. Then, depending on your decision, if it changes, we'll update that before the 15th, and that way we're in compliance all the way around. The second piece would be that we'll then get that out to our parents because we'll need to get signatures on those because it has been a change. And
Correct.
We'll address that once we get that back from the DOE. Okay, thank you, Mr. Brown. Appreciate that. Okay, we had a question about extracurricular supplements and contracts. So we're just going to clarify a little bit of that tonight. You have a packet from Mrs. Holloway, and she's going to walk you through this. I think in the folder on both left and right pockets, I don't know if you guys have this. I'll tell you what, take if you don't mind taking it.
I'll give it mine.
Okay, you don't mind?
I don't know.
So that will show you an identical look from last year on those supplements, and what those coaches' roles they're playing, and then how much that additional amount is, whether they're a lay coach or not, and then the total amount that they'll be receiving in supplements. And then if you remember, the board asked for a study of regions around us to see how comparable we are with pay against those regions. And Mr. Deputy, he can chime in here as well. He and Mr. Jones were part of that discussion. So the blue represents if you accept the proposal, which is going to put us more in line with the region, not the region, but the schools in our region around us. Okay, I will tell you this. One of the things that we saw that was probably split 50-50, maybe a little more schools that were giving coaches additional days. So I'll give you, for instance, our band director and our head football coach are the only two currently that we have in place that get additional days on their contract. So that means they get paid a daily rate for the days that they work up to whatever that contract amount is. Band is at $210, and the football coaches are at $241. That's typical in most of our schools in our region. Okay, but a lot of the other schools, more than half of them, do not offer additional days, and because it becomes a nightmare from payroll's perspective. It has an impact on their retirement. There's just a lot of other pieces there that most systems have gone to increasing the supplement to offset the additional days. So I wanted you to know that the blue form that you have is showing if you accepted that proposed amount, which is a little bit of an increase for the total amount that we give our high schools for athletic supplements. And when I say athletic, don't forget it includes band course, drama, flag football, soccer. I mean, it's everything. And then it has department heads. If there's a supplement for department heads, it's just a variety of additional funds for those additional duties and responsibilities. So I want Ms. Holloway to kind of address what you're looking at, and then I really want to take questions to find out where you guys are. We're, this month is when these go into effect, and so we try to make sure we have that information out to payroll so they can adjust. And I think she explained to you the M and the L. The M is they're taking that additional pay on a monthly basis. The L is they get a lump sum at the end of the school year. Is that correct, Ms. Holloway? At the end of the season. That makes more sense. Okay. So just FYI for the L and the M.
Within your phone.
So they're getting a lump. So football ends in November. So when they get paid, I guess the 1st of December, they'll get that lump sum.
If that's what they've chosen. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Lay coaches have to take a lump sum just because for payroll purposes. Literally, if you opened up your folder, if I was just giving this out to you, I would have told you to put the blue sheet behind it and just look at the white sheets that are in there. Because at this point, your middle schools are on one side, and those supplements were addressed 2 years ago. There was an increase made there. So they are in the process right now of doing their supplemental contracts. That means each of the individuals signs a contract, and they have to notate how they want their supplement dispersed, whether that be on a monthly basis or on a lump sum at the end of the season. It's really important with time frames here. A lot of people don't understand payroll in the school system, and you really don't need to if you don't have to. September is the biggest payroll for us because it's starting the brand new year, and then we are cleaning up our system, and people that have left, they are receiving their last paycheck from us. But in September is when the coaches get their first supplement payment, if they choose a monthly payout. So middle schools, they're right now working on getting their contracts fulfilled. Then on the other side, you have Lafayette High School, and then you have Ridgeland High School. Those were completed by Mr. Langford and Mr. Mariakis, and they have not done contracts at this point because we wanted to talk about amounts. And I did not want teachers signing contracts if they didn't know what amounts were going to be on there. So instead, we kind of told them this is what it's looking like and verbally determined if they needed month or a lump sum. And why did we have to do that? Well, because we have to actually have this in the computer by next Monday. So time is of the essence. Your high school contracts take a little while because you have quite a few that you have to gather. So those are balanced. When you look at Ridgeland High School versus Lafayette High School, there is a difference in them, and that difference is $1,900. And the $1,900 is because of flag football. And Lafayette High School has a flag football team. Ridgeland does not, but that is something that they plan on looking into next year. So the white sheets for Lafayette High School and Ridgeland are what the athletic directors are thinking is going to occur. So, any questions about the white sheets? That is what the athletic directors have worked with. Now when you go to the blue sheet, they have not seen that. Literally what I did is I took the spreadsheet and made the necessary changes in the supplements that were provided in the study. So not everyone, not all of the supplements got a bump, but in that analysis, it was looked at to see where are we in line when it comes to football. I'm going to show my ignorance here. Not coordinators. Is it coordinators? Yeah. I won my fantasy football, but I know nothing about football. So, and then you have your assistant coaches and so forth. So there were some additions made there. From there, not only that, the other proposal was to add some discretionary money. Now, you're familiar with them having discretionary money. They've had $27,000 in discretionary money for GHSA activities. So sometimes you'll see a supplement and you will see where there's an additional amount added to that supplement. That is the discretionary money. Each high school has $27,000 of discretionary money that they can use on GHSA activities. Then in the past, currently they have $3,000 that they use for non-GHSA activities. That's where you would do things with school level clubs, civic organizations, and things of that nature. The other proposal was not only looking at some of those increases within the actual supplements, but the proposal on the yellow sheets, on the blue sheets, taking that $27,000 and making it $30,000. That is an increase of $3,000 in GHSA money there, discretionary money. The other proposal was adding $6,000 to the non-GHSA, making that a total of $9,000. Now, what I can tell you is this. If you want to look at the changes from the white sheets for Lafayette and Ridgeland combined, and on the blue sheets, take in mind the blue sheets are going to look a little different because those additional amounts that I just discussed, the $3,000, the $6,000, they're not shown on there yet. The original amount is $352,210. You don't have to memorize that. On the blue sheets, it's $407,032. So what is the overall difference between the white sheets and the blue sheets? This is the math teacher in me. So if you ended up wanting to go with those changes to the high school athletic supplement, it would be a difference of an addition of $54,822.
I do have a question. I think Chris Wallace was working on a project where he was comparing our supplements with the other systems.
And that's what this is.
That's what this is behind
Okay.
you, yeah. And so we took the
He actually came up with a spreadsheet and left us, and that's what I
and he
was
gave
using.
us a comparison of all of them and then a recommendation. And the blue sheets, that's the recommendation.
I got
Yes,
you.
sir.
Thank you.
Other questions? It's fun stuff.
So
Any other numbers that you need to get the addition of some of the supplements and then the discretionary money? And Mr. Raines, I'm not sure I even gave you that figure, but that's,
I did it in my head.
okay.
55, right? 55 more.
You are around at
Right.
$55,000.
$54,822 is what you're adding to it. Yeah, personal.
No,
No,
that's
total.
total.
That's total. Yes, sir.
Has any consideration been given to, instead of a flat rate, to doing a percentage of salary for coaches? That way there is some reward for experience in that.
And Kevin, we're looking at, you can see Bartow, Catoosa, Chattooga, Dade, Murray, Pickens, Polk, Whitfield. None of them do that. And so I don't think that Chris or Jamie took that into consideration at all. We can definitely, if you want to hold with the white sheets this year, since we're up against the time element, and do that study and get that information back to you, be happy to do that. But we did not go down that path because we started seeing there was a kind of a theme there. And the other thing I mentioned earlier were the days. A lot of them built in. You can see, like, I'll use Chattooga. Of course, they're on a different schedule, but they're 240, offensive coordinator, 194 days, defensive coordinator, 200.
We used days a long, long time ago. I can remember when I was an administrator at Lafayette High School, and I can tell you it did become a mess because with coaches, once you start getting additional days, that's more than just a flat amount. Each person makes a different amount depending on their experience, their degree. And then if you didn't coach and you lost those days, it had significant impact even on your retirement and things of that nature. So you had a lot of wheeling and dealing going on with days. I can remember the talk about that. And people got very upset when they didn't get specific days. Band director right now is on extended contract. Our football coach has always been a 241 as long as I can remember. And you'll notice that what we do because of that is on the discretionary column, there's a line through that because we personally don't allow any more discretionary money to go to the head football coach since they're already on a 241 contract. Any other questions for me?
But what kind of system did you use to keep up with those days to keep everything on?
With those days,
Yeah.
what was used at that time?
The overall, it just seems so convoluted to me.
It would get really,
It only got convoluted if something happened and we fired the coach before that day, those days were out. Then you had to go recalculate everything. Yeah. So that's probably the biggest, and that's probably why a lot of them stay away from it, just because it does create some additional work that you have to
and
do.
daily
And it
rates
affects
of
the retirement.
teachers are very
Yeah.
high when you think it could be somewhere up to 300 to 300 to 500 a day, depending on years of experience and so forth.
And Kevin, the only other thing that we changed a few years ago is we put in, we budgeted some funds for, to assist teams that were having success when they qualified for a state event,
Right.
to help offset some of the costs.
I recall that. And I
Yeah.
recall that.
Yes, sir. that was a little bit of help. Didn't help the coaches, but it kept them from having to fundraise for being successful, if that makes
You
sense.
don't want to get funded
Yes,
for
sir.
that.
Yes, sir. Other questions? So just keep in mind.
What are we, I get that.
We've got to make a decision on the supplements because they have to go out to payroll. So maybe think about it tonight, or if you feel comfortable letting us know, if it's stay with the white sheets, go with the blue sheets, stay with the white and study what Mr. Richardson mentioned about the percentage of salary, looking at from a different perspective, or do you feel comfortable moving forward with an additional 54,822?
Are you comfortable or do you want to wait?
I would rather wait, just keep it the white sheet and roll with it, unfortunately, for at least another year. 'Cause I don't like being pressed on it, so let's just, for me, y'all can do whatever, I just don't want to be pressed on this deal.
I think if we're gonna to do this, I think to get really competitive, I think you've got to factor in experience of your coaches as well. And I think the fairest way of doing that is to look at a percentage. That way you're counting their experience in that as well. And kind of being, at one time being on the other side of that, in coaching some, I think that's honestly the most equitable way of doing that. And, you would have to set it up to where you're looking at percentages of teacher, basically your basic teacher base salary. I mean, and then you could sweeten the pot, so to speak, by extending days and things like that if you wanted to get into that, to try to get, if things are not matching up. The downside to that is you're going to have to pay pretty much a flat rate for your lay coaches. You're still going to have to kind of keep some flat rates there. But anyway, I would be good at waiting right now and discussing it further.
So we'll just stay with the white
Okay.
sheets for now.
All right. Board recognitions. I know we had a conversation, and then there was an email that came out later. We had conversations about the potential of looking at the length of time we were having for recognitions. I know we all agree that recognizing our students is a huge, huge piece, and we love doing that. But we also recognize that we have business that the board has to do, and they only do that twice a month. And so we sat down with leadership and talked about the potential of still listing out. For instance, Mr. Morrison will give me a list of all the students that would have been recognized tonight, including the 16 that we actually recognized. They will go into the minutes, and that way their parents will see that they're being recognized. So the statute for development of the agenda states that the board chair and the superintendent will develop the agenda together. Okay. So in 14 years, this is starting 14 years, we've never determined together what recognitions we were going to have. That was something that the superintendent said, hey, these are students that need to be recognized. So we've always been willing, Dr. Willerson, if you get a phone call from a constituent that says, hey, my child just scored a perfect score in the ACT, we want to know about that because we want to recognize them. More than likely, I'm going to hear that from a principal. However, I always want you guys to know and feel like you have input on the development of the agenda because that's the statute. But as far as recognitions, I just need to get a clear picture of what is that time frame. I'll give you a for instance. Next week, we'll have 4-H. Okay. Y'all have been, I love my 4-H people. But it's a lot of kids. We have a lot of kids in 4-H. So you're going to spend 45 minutes going through 4-H recognitions, which is fantastic. I say that on the camera everywhere. I love that, right? But that's a long time, and then you're going to go right into a planning meeting where you have an hour to an hour and a half of true school business to deal with. So I'm just trying to strike a balance. So I really need input on this one so we'll know how to move forward.
Go to Mark.
So I thought we would, I think the proposal was just state, that kind of thing, state the names.
The proposal was for us to highlight high level. Okay, like tonight, the 16 students that achieved the honor that they achieved, That's high level. I mean, that's something, first of all, that probably none of us in this room did, right? They accomplished that. That's big time. A perfect score in the ACT, big time. Signing to go to MIT, that's strong, right? But, I don't want to call out anything, but, a student who attended 20 days in a row, okay, maybe that's not what we need to be recognizing. We need to be recognizing things that are holding that expectation level very high and strong. So, but the list would allow for all of those to be recognized. If they were in the minutes, it would be something that parents would see and note of, recognize. So,
I agree with that. It's not that we don't want to recognize everyone, but it is very time consuming. And as a role, as a board member, our role is to do the business of the school. It's not that they're not important. We just have to do what we were elected to do.
Sure. I mean, and again, we can streamline a lot. Like tonight's recognition was extremely brief. I mean, it was, and all the students weren't here, but still, we moved through that pretty quickly. I love that. I love having our kids here. I love having our parents here. I think it's important for them to be able to stand in front of you and get their picture made. That's a big deal. I had a student in my office. I never have students in my office. I had other adults in the office with me. I just want you to know that. But I had a student in my office this week, and the conversation was, Mr. Raines, I have on my wall at home every card you've ever sent me framed. Well, that blew my mind, right? Now, granted, I've sent this young person a number of cards for some things that they've done. That was a big deal to them. Being in front of you and having their picture made, that's an even bigger deal for them. And so I want to try to help cultivate that, but I also want it to be a balance, because I know I'm asking you to stay here even longer at night on the 2 nights, and not Mr. Richards, and I'm not just picking out Kevin, but you taught all day, and now you come in and you sit here with us till 9 or 10 o'clock. That's a long day for you. I'm trying to just balance that out. So.
Even next week, can you streamline next week's scene?
What is next week? Is it 4A?
Yeah.
Now that I've called her out, I apologize ahead of time.
She's bringing less.
She's bringing a lot. We've talked about streamlining it a lot more. And instead of naming every single child that may not be there, let's find out who's there on the list, and we'll highlight them. And then all of those names will be part of the minutes, so that they're getting recognized as coming to the board. Does that make sense? So I love that, and I love us recognizing our students. I think it's a highlight of what we do. I want to continue doing it, but I also want to make sure you guys are comfortable with what that time element looks like. All right. Let me throw one out, and I know when I say school council meetings, you've got a copy of that. I think the only one we're missing right now is Saddle Ridge, and we'll have that to you. So you'll have those dates. I know Miss Allen provided those for you. And again, we're dropping everything into the shared drive too. So that way, if you lose it or don't have a copy or whatever, it's going to be there as well. One of the things I want to share real quickly with you, and we offered the advanced funding for our schools several years ago. In fact, we started it, I think, the second year I was here, so that's been 10 plus years ago. Schools they borrow an amount, they pay it back over 5 years. It's no interest, it's no cost to them at all. They just have to come and do a presentation to the board and ask for an amount, and then they have to pay it back within 5 years. If we don't, we send Rachel out after them, and she roughs them up. And so we just have a few out right now, not many. And not a lot of schools, I don't want to say this out loud, taking advantage of it, because they'll all be calling tomorrow, right? But it has to be something very specific. I'll use the example of band uniforms. So band uniforms years ago were costing about $50,000 for band uniforms. So a freshman comes in, they fundraise for 4 years. They buy the band uniforms the year they graduate. They never get a chance to wear the band uniform. So we gave them the money up front, buy the band uniforms, wear it proudly, fundraise proudly in the uniform, right? And then pay back the money. Works perfectly for our schools. So we've had a couple that take advantage of it. Currently, Lafayette High School has taken advantage of that. They have a $25,000 loan out right now. They've paid down to $18,428. They've had an offer from a local credit union to give them $18,000 for a new band trailer. They need a new band trailer. If you remember, their current loan was for new instruments because they had so many more kids in the band, they didn't have enough instruments for them. Now they're having to pack them in a trailer they've been using for the past, I think he said 19 years. So this would be a brand new trailer. The catch is the credit union can only give them $6,000 a year for the next 3 years. So if we bump their advanced funding up $12,000, they can purchase that right now to be able to take their band instruments around. So that bumps their loan back up because the $6,000 they're getting this year wouldn't be part of the loan. It would just be the $12,000 that remains. Does that make sense? Then every year they'll get a $6,000 payment from the credit union, which will go directly to their advanced funding. So it's a net loss for them, but it gives the credit union the option of being able to give them the money, $6,000 a year for the next 3 years. Am I making sense? Okay, all right. You got a question, or you've got a look on your face as an accountant. I can see it right now.
I'm gonna kind of.
If the credit union goes, okay, go ahead, throw it.
It's a trailer. It's something that can be sold. Is that not something that would fit into East Blast?
Well, it potentially could.
I mean, think about it. Your basketball team, they don't have to buy a gym.
I think that's a perfect example, and I think Ridgeland needs too. So both schools need them. Both of them's in terrible shape. Both schools need them.
It's something that can actually be resold. It's a capital asset.
Agreed. We've hit East Bus hard, and we're at that point where we still got a principal and interest payments left to pay out of collections.
And we're still waiting on state funds capital outlay that I don't know how long it will take them to repay at this point.
So to your point, it's a great point. I'm agreeing with you 100%. I'm not agreeing with Travis because I don't agree with anything he says. But I tell you what, then, since you've thrown fuel all over me, no, that's good. No, it's a great comment because it creates the need for them to fundraise for $12,000 additionally, which is a great deal for them, and they were willing to do it. But if it's an East Boston expenditure that is a capital asset, then that creates a whole new thought process about it. So we'll sit down and have that conversation, and then we'll get back with you and let you know. So. And
can we expand that a little bit too? I mean, if we're going down this road, and like you said, you're not charging the basketball team for the gym, but there's certain for kids to compete, and if it's a school program, I think it's something that the board needs to look at. For example, when the cheerleaders are doing their routines, who's buying those mats? Do the cheerleaders have to buy their mats, or is that something the school we're taking care of? What about wrestling mats? I mean, I know we're paying for baseball fields, softball fields. Who's paying for?
So the schools all received $130,000 in East Plus funds that could be used for ancillary things like, and it was East Plus funding, so could be used for cheerleading mats, wrestling mats. Some of them purchased desks. A lot of them needed desks. So they get funding through East Plus to make those purchases. I go back to, when I was in school, we had a gym, wasn't much of a gym, but we paid for our uniforms. We had to come up with, we paid for things. So East Plus has changed in Georgia a lot to assist with students, and I agree 100%. We just got to be careful because then nothing becomes part of the school's responsibility and everything falls back on East Plus, and there's only so many dollars to go around. So, but to your point, they have options to purchase those out of that East Plus funds, or they make a really good case and come back and talk to us.
It's just something I think what we need to make sure we're stepping up to the plate and supporting our kids in those programs.
Yeah, and uniforms are one thing, but like the mats and the trailers, those are capital assets that will last for years and years to come.
Well, they got 19 years out of that trailer, so they did a really good job of taking care of it.
30 years old? 30 years, the wrestling mat's 30 years old. I would venture to say the trailer, Ridgeland's band trailer's probably at 15 plus years old as well. I know they had to rebuild axles last year in the middle of Kmart or Big Lots' parking lot on the way on a road trip, and so there's a.
But now keep in mind too, if they do the fundraising and they purchase it, it belongs to that group. But if it comes out of East Blas, it's Walker County. It's the high school. It's not just that department.
Right. One thing though that we need to also think about too, before we get too carried away, is football. They're gonna want a trailer. I know like Ridgeland has a trailer. I don't know if does Lafayette,
I think they do.
Same thing.
It's been a while since
Yeah, I know Ridgeland somebody donated one to them half a dozen years ago. And so, and then there was a sponsor that paid for this, that, and the other, but I don't think it's there anymore.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is if we open it up to band, the next one down the road.
Fuel, sorry.
Yeah.
Well, and the only other thing I would say in that vein
Sure.
is to think about it from this perspective. You've got to consider equitability, regardless if you have a sporting program. So in elementary school, what do they get out of this when everybody's getting band trailers? And you've got to think about it from that perspective.
So what you were saying is, here's a pot of money. You guys can kind of pick and choose what your biggest needs are at the school level and address them.
And if you remember, Kevin, you weren't on the board yet, but you probably heard in the community, we gave them $100,000, each elementary school, and we told them that they had to purchase, one of the requirements was rubber mulch for their playgrounds. Okay, so for some of them, that was upwards of $50,000, $60,000, but it's an 8-year commitment. You don't have to change it out. You don't have to change it out. You have to add to it every about 8 years. But we forced them to do that because we felt like we had a safety issue, and we had just a visual perception issue as you drove by. When you know how mulch starts to look. The rubber mulch has been a game changer for them. But we did give them the option of choosing something that was a capital expenditure to fit the referendum that was East Boston. They didn't have to raise money for it. Some of them used it for playground equipment instead of having, I've fundraised for swing sets for years, right? Now they've got a little bit of an option there to use some of that money for that. So it's a good point too. So I don't mind looking at that. I know I feel Rachel's eyes just digging a hole through me right now. She's just glaring. Yeah, it's like a superwoman. Right now, based on where we are in collections and extended projects, we're going to have to really look at it closely, because once we bond the funds and then we start moving forward in the next E-Splosh, I feel like we're going to be very comfortable and this is a doable thing. So I think what you're doing is you're being proactive as a board to consider that as you go forward. So we'll definitely make sure we investigate that, and I'll talk to them about the trailers, especially the two band trailers now. And then we'll hope that the football team doesn't continue with something new too. If y'all go back and start talking to the football coaches, I'm going to be interested. The other thing I mentioned we talked about already is the Open Records Forum. And then I just want to again highlight our junior board members. I know that they're probably a little anxious tonight just because it's so new, but just that they're here and that they're just such amazing students, and I know they're going to give us some good input tonight too. And so I look forward to hearing both ends of our county from our student perspective and get that student voice, because that's a good one. So that's all I have, unless you have a question for me.
Any questions?
Okay. So speaking of funding and this, that, and the other, the wrestling mats that we discussed a couple weeks ago, I could have swore I saw it on this agenda earlier, and I'm struggling with my iPad tonight, I'm not going to lie. But
it's on his report.
It is, and the reason I had it on there and pulled it off, Mr. Miller.
Okay.
Yeah, I pulled it off, and the reason I did is because I assumed this conversation was going to kind of go into E-Splosh.
Sure.
I was a little disappointed with the way I found out about that, because there's a level of chain of command that should have gone through, and it didn't go that route. And so we had that conversation a little bit. It is an old mat, don't get me wrong, but I also know and I'm not throwing previous administration under the bus, don't get me wrong, but there was an option with that E-Splosh money, and that was high on the priority list. I say it was high on the list. It wasn't high on the list that got done, but it was high on the list. So, based on this conversation, we'll sit down and look at where we are, because you and I had a conversation on the phone.
Sure.
I was thinking wrestling mats were $50,000, $75,000. I had no idea, and I think it ended up coming in at like
19.
What?
19,
yeah. So
yeah, I didn't know.
And that's nothing to scoff at. Don't get me wrong, but I was thinking, that was going to be $100,000 expenditure, and it ended up not being there.
And I just want you to be aware that it's not that I hear what you're saying about chain of command, but it was more so to your point of the band uniforms. They were fundraising on Facebook asking for donations for a wrestling mat that was 30 years old, and then I said, because before we decided to go to turf and our turf fields, and it was I was telling Phyllis this, I remember sitting in a school board meeting, and they were talking about fundraising for lawnmowers to cut the grass on the baseball fields. And she says, we shouldn't have to fundraise to buy mowers that, to your point, that the kids are never going to reap any rewards from other than the grass being cut, right? And so I just pulled that off of Facebook, and I was like, this is something that we should provide for these kids, because we can't go out and put a circle on the basketball court and let them go on the hardwood. And that wrestling mat is, it's 30 years old. It takes 10 to 12 people to carry it around, where the new one takes 2 people. Those kinds of things, and that's where that came from. It wasn't, to me, it wasn't and I hear what you're saying with the chain of command. I just saw it and was like, man, we just need to take care of this.
And the only thing I'll add to that, Mr. Milton, is when we look at, like, I think Kevin used the analogy of the basketball court, okay? We use that for instructional purposes too. Sure. So it fits into capital outlay. There's some other definers that says, yeah, this is used for PE, this is used for other things, where a wrestling mat is used for a specific group of people. So that's why there's always been that line there that we've had to really make sure we're not crossing over something and creating a handout from everyone. So just trying to balance that too. So, other questions for me?
Review tentative agenda.
So we will have a recognitions of our Master 4-H recognition and 4-H annual report. And then we've got a unique one, if you know, I'm doing a little bit with the schools about our Teaching the Peach program with our teachers who have chosen Georgia and Walker County as their very first year in the teaching profession. And so we're doing some things at the schools to highlight them. But Gilbert actually has 5 folks who started at Gilbert in pre-K, went all the way through our system, and then came back and now are teaching at Gilbert, which is really kind of cool if you think about it. Now, I think 2 or 3 of them are actually teaching the Peach, but the other ones are not. But we're going to recognize them anyway, so that's going to be a fun recognition that night. You'll have the 2 superintendents report and facilities update. If you have any additional questions, we can definitely address those that evening. You'll have the resolution to establish the 2025 levy of tax. There'll be a recommendation the Walker County Board of Education approve the resolution that establishes the level of tax for 2025 at a net M&O millage of 14.418. You'll also have a recommendation to the Walker County Board of Education amend the following policies that we discussed this evening: IBB, which will be IBB-E1, and then JDD, which creates the climate committees. Those will be your 2 individual action items. You'll have consent action items that include the minutes of previous meetings: August 12, 2025, the planning session; August 18, 2025, the regular session. You'll have a recommendation that the Walker County Board of Education approve the contract for audiology services between the Chattanooga Speech and Hearing Center and the Walker County Board of Education. This is in connection with our special needs population. You'll have the recommendation the Walker County Board of Education approve the U.S. Department of Agricultural Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program grant money awarded to Walker County. That's going to be at Chattanooga Valley Elementary, Cherokee Ridge, Gilbert, Naomi, North Lafayette, Rock Spring, Rossville Elementary, Saddle Ridge, and Stone Creek. And if you remember, Fairland does not qualify, but we always have figured a way to make sure that they get that as well outside of the grant services. You'll have a recommendation that the Walker County Board of Education approve a new Transportation Department service mechanical truck for the price of $80,945.49. This is coming from the Transportation Department to assist with going out to buses when they're having issues. I think there's some backup documentation there as well. Mr. Deputy's here if you have questions about that. You'll have a recommendation that the Walker County Board of Education approve the memorandum of understanding between Mind Care, Childhood Trauma Therapy, and the Walker County Board of Education. You'll have a variety of school contracts. One is for the Board of Education to approve the agreement to conduct business with Animal Land. This is Rossville Elementary School. They purchased Reading Buddies. They've had this program for several years. You have a recommendation the Walker County Board of Education approve the Colonnade lease agreement on behalf of Lafayette High School for their prom, May 9, 2026. A recommendation the Walker County Board of Education approve the sales agreement for Chattanooga Valley Middle School. This is a trip to Waycross, Georgia, May 6th of 2026. A recommendation the Walker County Board of Education approve the group sales agreement for Chattanooga Valley School, Chattanooga Valley Middle School, May 5th, 2026. It looked like it was two different hotels on their trip that's scheduled in May. And that will take care of our agenda for Monday evening.
Do you have any questions, comments? We do have one action item. It's recommended that the Walker County Board of Education approve a charter bus contract with Premier Transportation LLC on behalf of the schools listed below, Lafayette High School. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Any comments? Discussion? All those in favor? Next on our agenda, we have new business. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start up here and I'll turn around and get to you guys last, okay? Ms. Hardy, do you have anything?
I do not to this now.
No, I do not.
I'm gonna kind of put you guys on, is this where we get to talk and interact?
Yes.
That's what-
Don't scare them, Kevin.
I promise.
His name is Kevin Richardson.
First of all, thank you guys. Appreciate you guys coming and kind of giving us an input from the student perspective. And I think it's important as a board that we hear from you guys, kind of hear your thoughts, your ideas. I mean, because you guys are living the school system on a daily basis. I'm gonna kind of give you a softball here. This is an easy one. From your perspective as students, what do you see good going on at Ridgeland, and where do you see maybe some things that we as a board could step up and try to improve?
Well, one good thing that I've seen this year, the PBIS, the raffles, and if you have perfect attendance throughout the week, they'll do football ticket giveaways. That's compared to previous PBIS incentives. That's been a lot more effective, I think. The only caveat with that really is that not everyone wants a football ticket. You know, some people aren't interested in going to the games, but in general, I think that is a much more effective incentive than I've seen in years past.
So student incentives are, and a lot of, of course, I'm a little bit familiar with PBIS. Is there something else with the incentives? I mean, besides tickets, what other things are happening at the school that maybe are motivating students to do the right things, to make good choices, better choices? You guys are seeing.
They have the student of the day thing that they started not too long ago. I don't know, last year, the year before maybe. And so I think that helps students, try to do better because they see teachers nominating other students for good behavior, doing good things in class. So I think that helps. And then this year they started adding on a raffle with that. So you get, a gift card or something at the end, or you have a chance to get the gift card at the end of the week or something. Well, now this year with we have the absence policy where now if you have excused absences, it doesn't count against you for final exams or something like that. Whereas last year, it didn't matter if it was excused or unexcused, it still counted against you. And I think a lot of students felt like that was unfair to them if they had to miss school for a legit reason.
Right.
And so I think that helps this year.
So the exam exemption is pretty motivating.
For sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. As a board, I mean, of course, we are answering to, the public as well as, we feel like, we're serving our students, our staff as well. Do you see anything we could be doing to help at Ridgeland, to improve things for the students, better student experience, to get, you know, one thing that we really want to see is students become more active, participating in the school. That's one thing that I think you're going to hear from us. We want to see folks kind of step up. I know as a current teacher across, you know, retiring from Georgia, going across the state line, one thing that I see at the high school that I'm teaching at is the students that are involved, doing the extracurricular activities. Those students tend to be much more successful. There's a buy-in to the school, there's more school pride. Is there something we could be doing as a board to maybe, I don't want to say push that, but to maybe get more folks involved and participating at the school level?
Maybe something that hinders some kids from joining is paying for it. I think a lot of kids, you know, want to be involved in the community and volunteering, but they have to pay like a $30 fee or $40 fee. So maybe in some ways trying to come up with fundraising for that would be good. Just, I don't know, some kind of funding. I know when I was in middle school for our TSA funds, we would have a Krispy Kreme like sale or something like that. I know FFA does that too. I also think that would be good for like homecoming and prom. Those tickets can get really steep for a lot of kids, and some kids don't go surely because of the cost, and you know, it's not fair to the kids. So I think maybe putting an emphasis on trying to fundraise more would help.
Another thing I thought of to advance this would be to encourage like leadership from these clubs and organizations to attempt to recruit, you know, young, you know, freshmen and sophomores who may not really know that, like, all the opportunities they have at Ridgeland. And so just to have the student body itself push for more people to join their clubs, to provide some sort of motivation for upperclassmen already in those clubs, I feel like that would be a good motivator.
Very well. Very good. Great answers. Thank you, guys.
Oh, I'll follow that, but I'm going to go. Speaking of, so Adairsville just adopted a policy for their at school events where all K through 8 students attending any athletic event at Adairsville High School must be accompanied by an adult. School and law enforcement personnel will monitor every entry at the gate. Any unaccompanied student will not be allowed entry. I think that's a pretty, I mean, it would be some talking, but I think it's pretty positive, right? With just kids running rampant these football games and this, that, and the other. I think it's a discussion that needs to be had. I mean, it's somebody local in our region that's kind of enforcing that, and so I think that could cut off some of the mischievousness or the issues that seem to pop up at the football games. I think that's one of the things I think I'd like to see us look at, with some input, obviously, from Jamie and the ADs and the principals. But that's one thing. And then the other thing is, did we get radios for the buses? I know when Chris was here, Chris Wallace was here, we talked about those. Where are we at with that, I guess?
Jamie may be able to answer more of that. I know that they had some back order on the movement of the antenna. It was one to Fairleigh. Yes, sir.
Okay.
So there was 2 orders. He had to do it in 2 different budgets. So he bought a portion that's being programmed right now for this, and then the second round's being ordered. They're already some supply for hand radios for schools, and also for base station radios, and also the antenna installation that when I first took over, I was under the assumption was going to be starting in July or early August, but they were waiting on parts, and I called for the Alpha Communications the other day. Those are on back order, apparently, and so we were trying to get them to force that in because we need increased communication with that radio system, because some of it, if you don't have a radio in your truck like I do that hears all the time, it's hard for some of them to communicate across this county. Kevin would know that more than anybody. That's a dead spot. So that's supposed to increase that tremendously. So My goal is to get with them hopefully in this next few days to get that install up. I would hope before the end of this month instead of dragging it like it has been.
So the ETA would be month end?
That's my hope.
And that's just on the antenna, not the radios. correct?
That's the
Just
radios
both.
and all. They all come in, they're just waiting on the programming. So he only ordered 15 at the back end, and then he ordered like, I think, 220 years, give or take, for all the schools in to have that in. And then he got a program in for us getting on the frequency.
So you'll let us know whenever.
I
that's
will.
taken care
As a
of?
matter of fact, I'll let Mr. Raines know before the end of the week to see where we're at with that step. So he'll give you an update as well. I'll put tomorrow.
So forgive me, I've got a lot of questions tonight, as I'm kind of learning a little more and a little more. Lunchrooms, have we went away from, and I know there's probably a staffing issue, but who am I talking? I'm going to talk to you. Jamie, I was looking at Jamie, I'm sorry.
I eat in the lunchroom.
You eat in the lunchroom, there we go. So, have we went away from styrofoam and went back to using our plates and this, that, and the other?
I don't think we've gone away from that completely. You've got a variety of issues there. One is the equipment in the dish room. Some of the equipment has aged and needs to be replaced, and it's quite expensive. That's one. The first one, it started off with just the number of people, just not having staff. And we've talked about this with Ms. Coker a couple of times because, we don't feel like we're being as responsible with so much styrofoam that's coming out of our cafeterias, but we've definitely shifted some of that. But right now, it's really more about the equipment and the age of the equipment and replacing that equipment. So,
What do you say, equipment?
Travis, if you will look, today, Food Services asked me to post a picture. Naomi Elementary has been entered in a contest, and so you vote on trays, it's meals served. And of the 6 districts of the pictures that I posted, there's only one picture, I just now looked, that's not styrofoam, of the 6 districts that's in there. So 5 of the 6 that are posted for this contest are all serving lunches on styrofoam. And go on and vote for that, please, where Naomi can win.
Were we voting on Facebook?
Yes, it's on the Walker County page, but you have to click on the chili cheese pie from Naomi Elementary.
So sidetracked with Robin. Squirrel. That's what I'm talking to Scott.
that's her job.
Yeah.
Sidetrack Travis.
Yeah. So, and then lastly, I guess when we talk facilities, I keep on looking at Jamie. When we talk facilities, so Jamie gave the report earlier, and he said we were going to get a refund of $30,000+, right? And so I just want to be sure that I don't care, and I'm not sure how anybody else feels, but for me, I don't really care about a refund as long as we're putting the best best equipment, best use of the facility to make it be as good as it can be, right? So I guess my question is when the architect draws something for us, and I'm just curious, do they use like a good, better, best model as far as, let's just say fixtures, flooring, those kinds of things? Because what I hear is we're getting a refund, and I think it's good that we get a refund, but I don't want to shortchange us either when we talk about equability, right? Because we have 15 schools, and I get that. I just want to be sure as we are building these facilities that we're making sure that it's the best it can be for these taxpayers that are paying for it. So whenever they go in there, they see a shiny, pristine place. I was just curious, what kind of, I know all we did, like I came on board, we've already committed to the Rossville ball field, and whenever we voted for it, it was just, we never seen a drawing, right? Years ago, probably before you were the superintendent, I remember as I was young, much younger, that they used to have meetings and they would show architectural renderings of this, that, and the other. And I think it would be nice to see something like that. So I can see, you know, I'm a visual guy, right? So I work in manufacturing, everything's about visuals. So I would know that the colors were this or and I'm not an interior designer by no means, but I just want to understand what's going on. So like I asked years ago for a architectural rendering of the ball fields at Chattanooga Valley, and so anyway, I didn't ever get it. And then I would just like to see what it looks like, you know, from a drafting or just a great visual from before we vote on things like that. And then I just want to make sure again that we're using every penny to make that project to be the best it can be. I don't know how the other four feel, but I'm not worried about a refund. Let's just upgrade if that's what it takes. You know, if we're going to get money back, let's just upgrade to something a little better that we think is going to last longer. Whether it be, you know, heavier paint, rubberize the floor, this, that, or the other. I mean, that's just how I feel. And so I know I just said a lot, and I think you've deciphered it. So I'll let you talk.
I just say there's so many things involved in designing something. So a $30,000 rebate or credit back could be a variety of things. You didn't have as much soil that you didn't have to spoil. You didn't have as much rock that you had to take out. You got a better deal on the shipping on the turf. You saved money, but then when you turn around and want to emphasize something else, it's not going to cost you $30,000. It's going to cost you $130,000. So now you're back where we're coming in saying, hey, I'm going to need an extra $100,000. Now I've got 2 band trailers. That's $30,000. So I just spent your credit. I'm done with that. But so I think there's a lot of pieces that you don't know in the design phase. Let's take the radios. Oh yeah, we can have those there July 1st, and we're still without radios. Well, that's not our fault. It's not even their fault. It might be a manufacturing issue. It might be, if you remember, we went through with cars. You can't get the computer chips. Can't find computer. Nobody's fault, but it was something you had to deal with. The buses that we received that we ordered in 22 that we had forgotten about, and then they showed up on the lot that we had paid for. Okay, wow, it took them 4.5 years to get us these buses. That's not our issue, but you know, we could have bought more buses in the meantime, probably for less than we spent on those after 4 years. So there's a lot of things that at play. The other thing is, it goes back to, I think the comment you made was we finished things at 90%. And that was a frustrating comment to me as a facility guy, because we do a process all the way through to the very end based on what the scope was of that project. Not once we got in there, we started going, we could do that and that and that. Well, all of that, you just hear those dollar signs continue to go up, and SPLOST is limited to what your collections are. So I think all of these projects that the board is going to have something that can be very proud of, and the community will as well. But you've just got to be real careful when they're designing something. We sit down and go, we value engineer a lot of things. No, we're not going to spend that kind of money. What can we get for this amount of money? And then they have to design that for us. Then if those credits come in, that's fantastic. I'll give you an example. When we got the college and career grant and we fell under the $3 million, we immediately started looking at other things in the foyer, paint in the classrooms. Okay, we're going to spend that money on this project to make it a really good project. That's a little different because we knew how much money we had. The credit, you know, $30,000 for what the next piece was might just be a drop in the bucket for what that potentially is going to cost. So, I mean, I think you make a great point of making sure that when we finish, everybody goes, wow, that's what we saw in the rendering, and that's what we got for the dollars that we spent. And I think we did show the community the renderings of the baseball field, or the combo field.
We also got a copy of them.
Yeah.
I think it was prior to you being on the board.
Because we met with the softball team, the baseball team, we met with the community organizations to show them what we were going to do, so that they would be able to go, oh yeah, I remember when we, you know, and that's what it looks like. So I think we do a really good job of trying to get that information out there, but it's never going to be identical to what that architect designs, because they're designing it with a really shiny penny, and we're designing it with, you know, the penny that we can afford to spend. So it can be vast at times.
I'm done.
All right, I'm
gonna leave it to you two. Do either one of you have a comment or anything that you would like to ask about? Anything?
Well, a lot of the stuff that we were planning on saying, we already said in the hearing. But one thing is, how often are the school bathrooms checked for maintenance and to see if the stall door is missing and needs to be replaced? We're curious about that.
Typically, your custodians are the ones that are supposed to report those to maintenance. There's a ticketing system that goes back to the maintenance department so that we can address those. One of the things that'll be a much bigger piece here, but it'll sort of address, we get capital dollars from the state on every building. It grows over so many years, and then you make application. And so we just started the application process for Ridgeland High, so it doesn't help you next year, but to remodel all of the restrooms. Okay. And so it's a process. Restrooms are very expensive. It's probably one of the most expensive components of anything you ever build. And you try to build it to where it's going to stay that way for a long time, and that's been there for a long time. And so we're addressing that. But the process typically is somebody walks in and reports it to the custodian then sends that in on a maintenance request ticket, and then they come out and take a look at that.
Anything else?
I like the phone policy. I mean, I think it would be good because, I mean, kids, I mean, it's a distraction nonetheless. I mean, we don't see it a lot being in the Honors Academy, you know, because typically kids are more well-behaved. I mean, you're still going to have the kids that, you know, put a burner phone up there or something. But I think that by banning phones altogether, you know, it just, kids are happier, you know, like when we're not allowed to have phones and we're given free time in class, we play a game with each other, we do something fun, we, you know, when we'd have free time after AP tests, you know, we'd play card games or something. Whereas if we're given a phone, no one's interacting with each other. And especially we see it a lot at lunch, you know, like I associate with a lot of people who know how to put their phone down, but most people don't, at least our age. So I think that would be beneficial for the kids, just their mood in general.
Yeah, that's awesome. You said that, yeah. I would be interested to hear from both of you, not to put you specifically on the spot, but you're both seniors, you're both very talented, you're both extremely bright, and we honored you tonight. What has your experience been like in Walker County schools? If you had to go back and say from pre-K to where I am today, how would you describe your overall experience? Has it prepared you for where you need to be as you step out into the next adventure that you're going to face in, 160 something days? Are you ready for that? I mean, have we prepared you? Have we done a good job of that? And I'm not trying to give you words to say. I'd really be interested in what your experiences look like, especially at the high school level.
Well, at the high school level, the Honors Academy has definitely prepared us. We had, I think it was almost 3 weeks of ACT prep, and that almost everyone scored really well on the ACT. We've been briefed about college essays, really every single part of the admission process. Of course, the rigorous courses from AP to dual enrollment, everything has been tailored to ensure that we're successful later, and I really, really appreciate it. And then looking back, CVMS was a good school, and then Fairland also was incredible. All the staff there were very, very passionate about what they did. And I loved my time at all 3 schools, honestly.
Good. That's awesome.
Yeah, I think for Ridgeland, again, the Honors Academy has prepared a lot. I think give a lot of credit to the teachers. I can't say enough good things about them. I can't say a bad thing about any one of them. They all have a passion for teaching and they all care about the kids. So I really appreciate the teachers, for sure. They're not just trying to check off the box, they're trying to, get to know you as a person. And it helps that, the Honors Academy is small, compared to the rest of the school, and there's only like 8 or 9 teachers. So by the end of it, you become a family, and, they support you no matter what you need. And then in middle school, you know, it was, you know, during COVID, so it was different.
That's true.
But, I mean, we still had a good time out of it, and I went to Fairland as well, and yeah, it was a great elementary school experience.
How do we fix the issue? Let me back up. Do all of our students that aren't in the Honors Academy at your particular school, do they understand and know and are given the same opportunities as far as ACT prep and college admissions and just knowing what's available to them out there? Is it collective, or is it just focused in areas? If I'm making any sense.
I'd say there's a lot less information available to non-honors students. I don't know what happens in college prep, but
They do have dual enrollment, I know that.
college prep does have to exist. And then regular education, I don't know. I haven't seen any school-wide announcements about anything. I think the FAFSA workshop is available to all students, right?
Sure.
Okay. So there is definitely some, but it is disproportionate.
Good. Is there anything else you would share with the board, especially because these are the folks that, you know, that would make those changes and those decisions to help students. That as you guys are reflecting back, I know it's early in your senior year, but reflecting back on your experiences, are there other things that you see, wow, if this little tweak was made, it would have been even better experience for us? I know you had the best superintendent the whole time. I've heard that. It's a rumor, right? But anyway, yeah.
I wasn't encouraged to join a lot of extracurriculars my freshman year.
Okay.
And I really only took the initiative to do that at the end of it, and then going into my sophomore year. And I feel like I think Mr. Morrison, you did a good job at encouraging people to get into those, and so I think that's better now. At least the outreach to the younger students, which is
good.
Really, you need to take root when you're in ninth grade into the community to really get the best experience out of high school.
Yeah, I think this year especially student government has it's done a lot better this year. I mean, we got a new advisor, I guess, teacher that is over it last year, and last year was kind of an experiment year, you know, because she kind of was more hands off and kind of let us run the whole thing, and then this year, you know, we have more of a grasp on it, and so I feel like it's helped a lot. I like it more now that Mr. Morrison has pep rallies for all the home games, you know. I think it's important to have more rather than less, you know, to get the kids, you know, hyped up for the football games. It's a lot of fun, and so I think they're doing a lot better job of trying to get kids involved with the school spirit.
Well, thank you for sharing what you shared.
Can I ask one more
You sure
question?
can.
This is I'm being nosy. I ask this. Knowing, kind of just hearing the accomplishments that you guys have had individually, recognition we had earlier, I know you guys probably have a lot of opportunities ahead of you as far as plans after Ridgeland. Have you guys kind of made a decision, and each of you have made a decision, once you leave us here in Walker County, kind of what the plan is for yourself?
Well, so working on college applications right now, obviously the plan, I want to go to University of Georgia. I have people in my family who went there, and most Saturdays on football season are spent in Athens, so it has a special place in my heart, so I really want to go there. I'm still working on what I want to do as far as career. I'm thinking maybe majoring in some type of biology. I really enjoy learning about that, and maybe going into some kind of area of sports medicine with that, but it's still pending.
Thank you. Eli?
I'm planning on going to Georgia Tech and studying biomedical engineering. I'm really fascinated by the human body as a system, and I just want to work on devices or equipment to make people's lives better and whether it be prosthetics or equipment in hospitals. I find all of that really interesting.
Great. Thank you. Like I said, I was being nosy. I appreciate it.
That's so nice to hear. Okay, we do have a need for executive session. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Second. All those in favor?
So executive session is the board only, and you guys will be allowed to exit at that point, but you guys were awesome. Thank you for being here. You did such a great job.
Back in session, we have a recommendation of personnel for non-certificated. Transportation, everything on this list, transfers and rescind of application, and other.
Motion.
Do we have a motion? There you go. Second. All those in favor? Motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Motion, all those in favor.